Well, temporarily, we're off of this right now. I did is I took a washer, drilled a hole in it, 1/2 inch, put a rubber bushing in there. Actually, it was a hose. Screwed it on there, try to make like a bearing, and so forth. But what we're doing now, I found a set of computer speakers that I'm not using. I'm going to take the speaker out, and the amplifier is, the other part of it is in the shed. So I'm going to take the speaker out of it, and I'm going to put the speaker right up here. It'll clear everything. It'll go right here. There's foam rubber here, but I'll just take that out and put a speaker grill in there, and then, you know, keep a little foam rubber or something over that maybe. But this will give like a, in other words, what I've been doing before is I've been using a separate speaker system and amplifier, which has I think either 6 or 8 inch speakers in it. This probably won't be as dramatic, but these computer speakers sounded pretty good in my computer. I got Eltic Lansings in there that I bought at a yard sale with the subwoofer and the 2 satellite speakers with the volume control on the satellite. So I don't need these, and it's been sitting in the shed for quite a few years. So I'm going to commence to take the speaker off of this and pull the amplifier out, because the amplifier should run on 12 volts. And I can operate that, and then with an MP3 player in there, like I usually do with the sound, or I could probably put a preamp on it, I guess, but I don't have that equipment to do that anymore. To use a little microphone off of the remote that I'm going to put on here. It's going to get a little complex here, but we can do it. We'll put the speaker up high up here, and I should get some pretty good sound out of that. So let me yank this stuff apart here, and I'll come back on the video in a minute. Okay, this is basically what it is here. Looks like a 2 by 6 inch speaker, and I got the other one over here, but they only need 1 speaker in here. Now, close as I can read, this looks like 12 volts out, so it's probably, we can feed the 12 volts into, after the rectifier here, which is in here somewhere, and I'll be checking it out. We'll come back on the video here in a minute when we get the rest of this thing apart here. Alright, this is the headphone jack, this is the tone control, this is the volume control, this is the 3D, I'm not going to worry about that, and this is the on-off power. Okay, we're not going to use the transformer because we're not running it on AC, so we're going to get into the circuitry here and feed in 12 volts. And make sure we don't lose any wires here. This is important. Now, we could make use of the both speakers. If there's room in there, I can put them like this, because we don't care about stereo. We just want, you know, good sound. Make sure they're phased correctly. They plug into here, but I already cut the wires off over here. So I'm not sure if there's going to be enough room, so we don't want to interfere with this. Now we've got plenty of room between here and here. We'll take this speaker here and we'll stick it up here. Oh yeah. But they're going to be mounted probably on a board, probably on this piece of press board that I got with all the little screws. I save all the screws when I junk something. You never know when you need them, although these are just plastic self-tapping screws. I think the little ones are also the same that held the speaker in, but I save them. Anyways, if I get one here and one below that, should be okay, because the speaker's going to be up high on here anyways. In this flat area right here. So 2 speakers pretty close with 1 opening with a grill or something over the top of it. Probably maybe a piece of plastic with holes in it or something. Don't need to have foam on there. You want the sound to come out. Because his is belly. If you watch the building of Uncle Dorkle, you'll see all that. You know, such as it is. So once we get all this done, then of course we put more fabric on them and cover them up. But right now, in order to mount the board, I'm going to have to remove this piece of foam rubber, which is just masked and taped in there. But before we put this in, we have to cut the holes for the speakers. You know, we're going to cut this board in half. This board is too big to squeeze in there with all this mechanism. And we don't need it that big. We only need it to come up from the top down to probably about here. And over here, maybe on the left, because I'm a lefty, we're going to mount some fuse holders. Instead of using these fuse holders here, we got some fuse holders that I picked up in my workshop. You've probably seen them if you looked at that video of switches, and more switches. So I'm going to have a fuse box here. So it'll be, each motor will be fused, and so will the solenoid. Solenoid is 2.6 amps draw. This here, I think, the I motor, I believe, is a few hundred milliamps. It's not really that much. I don't recall now what it is. And this stall current is 2.5 amps. So we're going to have the appropriate fuses in here for these things, and the fuse box will be here. The two speakers will be in the center here, and anything else that needs to go in there. Then we run the wires down to a terminal block here that'll go out to the remote control, and the battery will either be over here or the battery will be over here. It depends. I'm limited but how much battery I can put in here. My hand stretch is about 8 inches right here. So you can see I can't, well, I could use an 8-inch long battery, but the distance between here and here is going to be limited, and I got a screw here that I can cut off that holds the bottom on. If you notice, I added some plywood on the bottom to give them so it wouldn't keep tilting back, because the back is going to be extended a little bit more rounded. I may cut this back a little if it's too much, but that's what we did with that. And we got some more padding that came in the speaker, and we'll use that also. Alright, so I can work with this. I'm going to remove these wires, and I'm going to cut them back, because I got to add to them anyways, because this amplifier, in order to control it, may need to be mounted probably on the side over here down in this area, or if there's room over here so that these controls are facing out, so I can control the volume and so forth here. There'll be an MP3 player playing into this, because this is line level input, and the MP3 player will be controlled, the volume will be controlled on that, so most likely the volume will be turned all the way up on this. But I think I'm going to use both speakers if I got the room. If I don't have the room, we'll have to just use one channel, but I think we got the room. Well, we're not going to be able to use this amplifier. The heat sink is running super hot. You can't even put your hands on it. Just about a few seconds and it gets real hot. The right speaker's working, the left isn't. The speaker is good, but there's no sound. There's just a hum coming out of it. There must be a short in the output. Only one channel's working. And not a problem, except that this runs so hot that it'll just chew up the batteries. So we can't use this amp. We are going to use the speakers though. We are going to definitely use the speakers. So we're going to cut the wires here and cut them here. And we're going to put the speakers up into here and have them in there. And now they're 4 ohm speakers, so if I parallel them, that's going to be 2 ohms, which is too low for an amp. But because it's not good to run 2 ohms impedance on a amp that's designed for 4, and we can put them in series and that'll be 8. So we'll take them out. I can try to mount both of them in there. If I can't, I'll just use one of the speakers. And then when I get another computer speaker set that has a good amp, I can use it. I don't know, these things were working. I don't know what happened, but they're not working now, so we're just going to scrap it out and save the speakers and go from there. At least get the speakers in, and maybe I can get the fuse panel made up too. Because even with my reading equipment and stuff, I have no, I don't have any equipment to test this stuff. I think the output IC is shorted on one side. It shouldn't be running super hot like that. No bulging caps that I can see. So I'm not going to screw around with it because it's holding me up here. We're going to use the speakers and save the transformer and probably scrap the rest of it and get another amp. Well, open heart surgery here. These are going to be mounted on a board on the back side, and there'll be a wire, a 1/4-inch wire mesh on the outside to blend in with this here. So there'll be one speaker here and one speaker here, and we can either hook them in parallel or series. We'll probably do them in series so that we're not overloading the future whatever amp we get. Or we can actually just use one even though both are in there. And as you can see here, we got plenty of room to solenoid here. You've got two and 3/4 inches right to the board here, and the speaker sits about little over 2 inches. So we should be okay. If we have a problem, we can just put one up on the top here, away from this plunger, because the head is forward now. When the head turns, this actuator part here, the rubber actuator, may or may not be close to the magnet of the speaker. We don't know yet, but we can use one. No big deal. I was going to get a little more, maybe a little bit more bass out of it by using two of them, but we'll see. What I'll do is I'll cut this board down, and then I'll cut the openings for the speakers, and I can use this as the speaker mounting board because it's relatively thin, probably about an 1/8 inch. It's better than using 1/4 inch plywood. And like I say, if there is a problem, I'll just use the one speaker up on top here. No big deal, because it's only cardboard. We can just put more cardboard in there to close the other part off. But this baffle here is going to be on the inside of this anyways. And part of this, besides being the speaker baffle, is also going to be places for the fuses, which I told you about earlier. There's a double fuse holder here, and that could be for one motor. This could be for the other motor, and then the third one for the mouth trigger, because I've got one more single one. So you only need 3 fuses in this. And if I have an amplifier, well, I can dig up another fuse holder somewhere, I'm sure. Probably can get one at Radio Shack or whatever. I got one speaker in there. I could have got another one below here, but it would interfere with the, it was awful close to the solenoid. So, now, that's alright. Now what I'm going to put over this, now this is recessed in because this piece of rubber was originally in here. I'm going to take some 1/4 inch screening and put it over the top of the speaker here, and I want to blend it up to here. So I'll put back some foam rubber here, and then I'll just put the screening over that and tape it in. That'll protect the speaker, and it'll also allow sound to go through. I'll show you the back here, and you may not be able to see it too good. I just got the board taped in place for now. I'll put a couple screws in it after, and I just got 2 screws, 2 bolts into the speaker. That's all you need. Now if I put the other speaker down here, the magnet's too close to the solenoid. I mean, I could bring another one down to here, but I'd have to cut into his belly. It's not a big deal. I can do this at a later date. If I find an amplifier that needs 8 ohm speakers, then I'll just put the other speaker in series with this. So right now we'll just keep the speaker in the shed in a safe place, and when I locate another amplified speaker system, which I should be able to locate from time to time I see them, I'll be able to rip out the amplifier out of them. It's a shame that I couldn't use that amplifier that was in there. It was working good, but why that thing was running so hot, I don't know. I mean, you can literally fry an egg on that heat sink in a matter of a few seconds. That's not normal. Those things get warm, but they shouldn't get super hot. And one side was not working. The speaker was humming, but there was nothing coming out. So we got good speakers, but the amplifier was a disappointment. So yeah, this is no good. I ripped this off. Got electrolytic here I might be able to use, unsoldered from the board at a later date. A couple of potentiometers here I might be able to use, but I'm not going to worry about it now. I'll just throw it in my junk box. That stuff is really hard for me to see and work on. Alright, you can see I got the screening in there, and around here I got foam rubber padding and stuff. So the shirt would just go over that. The sound should still come through. And the outside shirt will go over that. That should do quite nicely. And the screening is in there to protect the speaker, which is recessed a little bit in there anyways.